Hello and welcome to this presentation, this webinar. Today what we're going to see is how you can manage your accounting for your clients in Odoo. So driving accounting excellence powered by AI. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Benjamin Murtis. I'm a project manager here at Odoo, and I'm an accounting expert for the accounting firms. So before we start, small word from our CEO and founders, Fabien. Our mission is to help grow. We want to help company growth. We want to unleash companies' potential by empowering users with a tool they love. What does that mean? It means that we try to give a tool as friendly user as possible to our clients so that they can grow their business within Odoo. So for today's agenda, we have a special guest here that I'm gonna introduce to you a bit later. That comes from ClearTax. It's Shamim. And he's going to talk about the integration that we're going to have natively inside Odoo for the e-invoicing that's coming up in the UAE. Then we're going to have a small presentation about Odoo and also an accounting demo where you will be able to see how you can actually manage your accounting in Odoo and manage the documents from your clients. If you have any question, please feel free to add them in the pad and we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So, Shamim, can you maybe please join us so you can present yourself and explain how we're going to integrate Odoo with ClearTax?
Thank you, Benjamin. Hello, viewers. Good morning. Pleasure to be here at the Odoo station. I am Shamim. I am an associate director at ClearTax. So e-invoicing is one of the hot topics today in UAE, and a lot of you would be researching and getting familiarized with e-invoicing requirement through the materials available online. So today we'll be talking more about e-invoicing and how Odoo users get to access and use e-invoicing in a seamless manner. Before we get deeper into the topic, let me talk a bit about ClearTax. We are an e-invoicing expert. We provide e-invoicing across geographies. We provide a global e-invoicing platform which supports more than 50 countries with e-invoicing, and we already serve 5,000 plus global enterprises. We process more than 1 billion e-invoices annually through our platform already, and we are a team of about 1,000 plus employees across various geographies. We have a local team in UAE. And some of the customers that we serve, we have customers across the spectrum, industry-wide, ERP-wide. And when it comes to accreditation and approvals from the respective authorities, this is something that we take very seriously. We are approved and accredited in all the geographies that we are present in. In the UAE, back in September 2025 was when the FTA first rolled out a list of pre-approved solution providers. There were only 5 solution providers at that time, and we were one of them. And by now, we have completed the accreditation process. So we are fully approved and accredited in the UAE. And not just in the UAE, we are approved in Saudi, we are approved in Germany, we are approved in France, in Oman, in Belgium, in India, in Malaysia, in all the geographies we are present in, we are approved and accredited. So today, what we are going to cover is about e-invoicing mandate in the UAE. I'm sure many of you would be keen to understand more about the e-invoicing mandate. And then we'll also touch upon what it really means for you. And we'll talk about the Odoo and ClearTax partnership. We recently announced this partnership to make the lives of Odoo users simpler. And what changes for finance teams, and from compliance to opportunity, how do we convert this compliance requirement to competitive advantage, right? So that's what we are going to cover over the next 10 to 12 minutes. Firstly, about the UAE e-invoicing mandate, right? E-invoicing may be new for the UAE, but it's been there for quite some time across multiple countries and geographies. And UAE has adopted a PayPal-based model for e-invoicing. That's a European model, already live in multiple countries. Belgium was a recent example where they went live with a 4-corner model and then soon to move to a 5-corner model. But UAE from day one has adopted a 5-corner model. I'll talk about the model in the next slide. But talking about the timelines, if you see on the screen, there are 3 phases of rollout. The first phase is for all companies above an annual turnover of 50 million dirhams, right? For the first phase, the deadline to appoint an ASP is 30th October 2026, and then the mandate goes live from 1st of January 2027. And the next segment is all companies less than 50 million dirhams in annual turnover. So it's not just applicable for VAT registered businesses, it applies for all businesses in the UAE in phase 2. And the deadline to appoint an ASP is 31st of March 2027, and the deadline to go live is 1st of July 2027. And then the third phase is only for government entities, and there's a different timeline for the government entities to go live, right? So if you notice here, appointing an ASP is a mandatory step in complying with the e-invoicing requirement. And Clear Tax is one of the approved ASPs by the Ministry of Finance in UAE. This is one of the most important slides that we all should be familiar with by now. This is the 5-corner model. I'll just briefly walk you through the model in case some of you are seeing this for the first time. So as you can see, there are 5 different corners here: corner 1, corner 2, corner 3, corner 4, and corner 5. So from a sales invoice perspective, you are corner 1 when you generate your sales invoice, right? From Odoo system, the Odoo system, or you are the corner 1. And there is a corner 2, which is the ASP that is appointed by you, by the seller, right? So assuming Clear Tax in this case. So the moment you generate an invoice from Odoo, right, automatically in the backend, the invoice gets transferred to Clear Tax, that is the corner 2, for processing. And when I say processing, there are multiple steps involved here. First is a data validation, then there's a data enrichment, then there is a data transformation, and then there's a data transport, right? So it's not just generating and sending an invoice to the government, it is also exchanging the invoice with the buyer. So we manage all of this as an ASP, right, at corner 2. And then from corner 2, once we do all these steps, we transmit the invoice to the corner 3 and to the corner 5. So there are a lot of transformations required in between. The data formats acceptable by the corner 5 and corner 3 would be different. And we manage all of that at corner 2 level. So we transmit the invoice to corner 3 and corner 5. And corner 3 delivers the invoice to the corner 4. So corner 3 is the ASP partner of your buyer. So every company in the UAE is required to choose an ASP partner, right? So corner 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, the invoice gets delivered. The invoice that you just generated in Odoo gets delivered to the buyer instantly in real time. And similarly, it is reported to the FTA, which is corner 5, instantly in real time. So that's about how a sales invoice travels in the system. And at the same time, you can see there's an arrow from corner 3 to 5 as well. So to the FTA, the same invoice gets reported twice, one from the seller side and one from the buyer side. The buyer's ASP, the corner 3, also sends a copy to the corner 5, right? So that's how a sales invoice travels through the e-invoicing network. Similarly, if you look at purchase invoices, so here both sales and purchases are part of e-invoicing. So when you look at your purchase invoices, what happens is whenever your supplier raises an invoice against you, right, they send it to their ASP, and their ASP will send it to us. If you have integrated with Clear Tax, we receive all your incoming invoices or the AP invoices at our platform, and we deliver it to your Odoo system. Right? That's how you get to see all your incoming invoices directly at your Odoo system. Right? So this is how e-invoicing system works. And again, it's a compliance requirement. There are penalty implications for non-compliances. You can see there is a penalty of 5,000 dirhams per month if you do not comply on time. So if you don't appoint an ASP before the deadline, this is the penalty. And if you don't go live as per the deadline, there is a penalty of 100 dirhams per invoice and subject to a capping of maximum 5,000 per month. So compliance has a penalty implication if you don't follow the timelines and prepare yourself. So now how do we help you comply on time and simplify things for you? So that's where we have a strong partnership with Odoo. And before we just get into the partnership, right, it's also important to understand what is different. Like all of you have been generating invoices from your ERP system, your Odoo system in an electronic format. Then how is electronic invoice different from what you're currently doing, right? So it's not just a new format of invoice, it's more structured data. The country has standardized the data required in every invoice in the country. So there's a format given, there's a PEPAL International AE version of a data dictionary given. There are rules given for each field, and there is a XML format which has to be shared across the network. And that's what we are standardizing, and we are helping you ensure that the invoices that you're generating are in the right format, in the right with the right technical specifications and in the right formats, etc. So it's a more structured data, not just in your system, but at the same time, it is getting transmitted via a network called PayPal to the government system as well as your buyer system. So the same data reflects in 2-3 different corners, and it gets validated at source, right? So, and it gets validated twice. So when you send the data to the ASP, they have to validate the data, and at the same time, when your ASP, that is corner 2, transmitted to corner 3, they again does the validation to ensure that the data dictionary is followed and it is in compliance with the requirements set out by the authorities, right? And there's a reporting in real time. So today what happens is you file your VAT returns at the end of the month or end of the quarter. That's when the governments have visibility on your data. But with e-invoicing, all these are happening real time. So every day you're reporting your data one by one, field by field, directly from your ERP system in real time. So this is how things are going to change with e-invoicing coming in. And now let me talk briefly about the partnership that we have with Odoo. So you all are familiar with Odoo. They are best in class in what they do. And similarly, ClearTax is best in class in e-invoicing. Right? So that's where the partnership had a lot of synergies, and we entered into a partnership, and we recently announced this partnership out in public. So what we have done is Odoo is building a connector that connects seamlessly with ClearTax. So this will be a native solution in Odoo. You don't have to go find vendors or maybe like negotiate or maybe talk about e-invoicing, how do I comply, etc., etc. So this will be a fully plug and play solution right inside Odoo. You don't have to go anywhere else, and this will work seamlessly. So you will be able to subscribe, you will be able to connect, you will be able to appoint your ASP, and you will be able to go live all in a fraction of a second. And we'll be guiding you step by step on the onboarding process, ASP appointment process, etc. And we will handle the complexity all within Odoo, right? So that's how your lives are going to get simplified with this partnership. And so basically you are using Odoo accounting system, and you have your sales AR and AP screens in Odoo. And in the backend, it is all connected with ClearTax through an API integration. And it will be like fully automated and live. So through this connector, the sales invoice gets transmitted to ClearTax. We follow the e-invoicing processes, and similarly, we receive the incoming invoices or AP invoices, and we transmit them back to Odoo. So it's a two-way integration. We get data and we send data back between Odoo and ClearTax, right? So there's no need to do any separate integrations or any implementations. So the effort wise, there's a lot of time saving and cost saving with this connector in place. What this means for your business, right? Again, one solution, one relationship. You don't have to do a vendor selection process for e-invoicing purpose. Everything is available right inside Odoo, and you can use the Odoo system, and Odoo system will help you comply with e-invoicing as well, without you needing to do anything else for complying with this requirement. Most importantly, see, when an e-invoicing project comes up, it is a different integration with your source system. That's like a 6 to 8 weeks of a project, which involves time and money and effort. But here with this connector and with this partnership, there is zero integration effort, absolutely zero. No need for additional spend or additional effort or time for going live with e-invoicing from Odoo, right? And since it's a compliance requirement, you will be 100% compliant with this integration. There are 16 use cases in UAE, and this connector will be capable of handling all the use cases of e-invoicing in UAE. So no matter which industry you are from, all the use cases and nuances of that industry will be taken care in this integration. You stay focused on your business, and we'll help you comply with the mandates on e-invoicing, right? And lastly, now many of you view this as a compliance burden, right? It's more than just a new requirement. It is helping us in improvising some of the areas that may be a challenge today, right? So first of all, even though it's a new requirement, we offer you complete end-to-end automation through this partnership with Odoo. The connector is like fully plug and play, no additional effort involved. So it's full automation without you having to spend any additional bandwidth on the implementation. And how it is going to get benefited for you is faster cash cycles, right? So there will be lesser rejections on the invoices, and the invoices are getting delivered real time instantly. So the daily sales outstanding, the collections are faster, and your AP processes becomes more seamless, because even if you have not received the physical copy of the invoice, you have received the electronic invoice the moment your supplier has raised it, and it is validated twice. So there will not be any like human errors or like data errors in that invoice. Of course, you might have to check it with your PO and GRN, etc. But otherwise, it will be having very few errors, right? And then you have complete real-time visibility on your AR and AP invoices through e-invoicing dashboards, through e-invoicing data. So irrespective of whether your finance team has accounted an incoming invoice, or whether you have generated some invoices outside the systems, etc., you have a complete visibility on what exactly is your AR and AP at any given point in time. And of course, fewer errors and penalties because we are standardizing and we are helping you comply in a real-time manner. So this is how you get benefited from implementing e-invoicing, right? That's it from my side. If you have any questions, feel free to post it on the chat, and we'll be happy to address them towards the end in the Q&A session. Benjamin, over to you to take this forward. Thank you all.
So yeah, thank you, Shamim, for this presentation about ClearTax and how it's gonna be managed within Odoo for your e-invoicing. So now what we're gonna see is actually a small presentation about Odoo. So Odoo, in terms of number, what it is, as you can see, Odoo is used in more than 180 countries, and last year, in terms of number, we had some revenues that reached 650 millions. We had more than 6,500 employees. Now we are at more than 7,500. Also, Odoo is more than 200,000 Odoo enterprise clients. And in total, we have more than 1.6 million paid users, plus 13 million community user on our community platform. As well, we have about 10,000 partners helping us implementing and selling Odoo through across the world. So here you can see a bit about our offices. So you can see that we are present in a lot of countries. Actually, we are on all continents. So we have offices in North America, in South America, in Africa, Europe, Asia, and as well in Australia. So what was the fact? What was the reason of Odoo? When did Odoo got created? It was made from a simple observation where, in average, companies use more than 14 apps to run their businesses. Therefore, the idea of Odoo is to have in the same location, in the same environment, an app for every need. If you want to compare it, it's kind of like your smartphone, where when you need something, you can just download an app. Well, here it's kind of the same thing. As you can see, we have a lot of different applications, and here you can see a bit what those applications are linked to. We could have accounting replacing QuickBooks, we could have the CRM replacing Salesforce, we could have the purchase inventory, manufacturing, sales process replacing SAP, and as well a lot more applications. Of course, what about the accounting in all of that? Well, the accounting is kind of in the middle of everything, and actually we're going to see how the accounting is connected to the other application, because of course in Odoo those applications don't run alone. The idea is that every time you do something in an application, if it has to have an impact on another application, it will, such as for your sales, for your purchases. If you need managing some inventory, well, it will have an impact on the inventory as well, where you will see your stock going up and down, and as well, it doesn't work differently for the accounting. Every time you have a new sale or a new purchase, you can actually find it in the accounting if you want. The interest of Odoo also is for you as an accounting firm to work on a common platform. Okay, what will this allow you? It will allow you to work on a real-time accounting basis. Basically, you will be able to access the database of your client to do the bookkeeping of your client. So the client will be able to drop all the information, all the documents within the database without having you to wait for him to send you the PDFs or to bring you binders where you have to print everything to do the bookkeeping. As well, having access to the database will actually allow you to review his business and therefore to become a trusted business advisor. By having a view on his business, you will be able to tell him maybe where the cost needs to be cut, where things need to be improved, and so you will be adding a new value to your actual work. Same as for the communication. Having everything in the same database will help you communicate with the client and, of course, reduce the administrative burden. Now, if we look a bit about the localization for the MENA region, you can see the offices, well, not the offices, but the countries we are managing from our office here in Dubai. So you can have a list. So the UAE, Saudi, Egypt, Jordan, Pakistan, Turkey, Bangladesh, Kazakhstan, Oman, Iraq, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Lebanon as well. And we're still looking at implementing ourselves in new locations so we can actually support those countries as well by helping them getting to know Odoo. So now, what about if we get to the demo session? If we get to the demo session, let me show you a bit what Odoo looks like. So for you accounting firms, if you try to do the bookkeeping for your clients, you will actually need to only download the accounting. As you can see, you have different applications here. You have the document application, dashboard application, which comes automatically when you only download the accounting, when you actually have your, when you actually create database. If you need any more application, you always have that apps here application where you can actually download all the other applications available in Odoo, rather either to manage the payroll, to manage the HR, the marketing, your manufacturing processes. Everything that you need is in Odoo. So first, let us start with the document application. If I get to the document application, well, what I can see first is I have here a bunch of documents, but I also have here multiple folders. Okay, it's kind of like your Google Drive where you will be able to store, save all the documents from your clients to do his bookkeeping or any other documents. You can save PDFs, photos, Excel files, videos, CSV file, pretty much everything you need to that you need to save. Here you can see that you have different folders. Those are suggested by default from Odoo, but you can also rename them if you want, add new folders, so it's totally customizable to your need. Other things that you can do, how can you get the information inside the database, how you can actually retrieve the documents to save them here? Well, this is a classic drag and drop from your desktop to Odoo. You can also upload new documents and search into your desktop the documents that you want to upload. Another way also to actually get those documents is by creating an email address. So you can see that here when I access the info of my folder, I can link it to a specific email address, meaning that any new documents that I will send to this specific address will automatically be saved right here. As you can see, over time, you will be adding documents here, so it might be useful to be able to filter on this, to be able to look for some specific information. Well, luckily, you have that search bar here where you will be able to type anything that you need. For example, I want to see all the invoices that are linked to electricity. So I can just type in here electricity. And you can see that when I'm typing, I have multiple options. I can search on the name of the document, on the tags on the document. You can see that you can add tags on the document. You can search for the owner of the document and also on the indexed content. What is the indexed content going to do? Actually, Odoo is going to look inside each document for the word that you specified. So he's going to look into PDFs, into Excel files, into PowerPoint, any files, and he's going to read the document and check if the word electricity is mentioned. If I open one of the invoice, here what I can see is that, for example, I have the word electricity here, I have it here, and I probably have it on other places on my document. But not only that, let's say I need a specific document from my client or from a supplier, like an invoice or whatever. What I can do is actually create what we call a request, specific request for that document. So let me do that. Here I'm going to create a request and I want to ask for the new ID of my client. So I'm going to give it a name, new ID. I'm going to ask it to, in this case, my client, so I can look through all the contacts within my database. In this case, it's going to be the client. I'm going to give him 30 days to drop me the document, and I can also add a message so that he knows exactly what I'm looking for. In this case, could you please provide me with your new ID? When this is done, well, I just need to create the request. And actually what's happening behind that, you can see that it's going to create a placeholder so that when the document will be received, it will be automatically saved here. And if I go inside the document in the info tab, I can actually have the view on the email that was sent to my client. Hello client, Benjamin has asked you to provide the following documents, new ID. Could you please provide me with your new ID? And from that email received, without needing to have access to Odoo, he will be able to click on that link and upload the documents directly, which will be saved here automatically. But now let's see how actually the document application is embedded with the accounting application. You can see here that I have 3 different invoices, and I would like to send them to my accounting. What I can do is just select them all, and based on some pre-configured actions, I can actually click on it and send those documents to my accounting application. So if I zoom on one, you can see here the invoice, and you can see here the information about that invoice. So what's happening for the moment? This invoice is actually being read by the OCR. So it's actually reading the text of the document. And then we have the AI of Odoo, who is going to help you fill in the blanks to help you do the bookkeeping for that invoice. How does that work with the OCR? We are using Google Vision, so those are paid services that are issued by Google Vision directly, just to read the document. Just a quick note about this. Of course, when we're going to get to the invoicing, as everything is inside the document, it's a structured document, it doesn't need to use the OCR, so it will be read automatically without any cost. So here you can see that it has been read by the OCR. I can refresh, and I can see all the information that have been gathered from the invoice. The name of the vendor, the bill date, the reference, and also information about the amount and the account. So basically here, if I click on the bill reference, you can see that Odoo is going to show me all the possibilities that I can select to match with my bill reference. So let's say, for example, the bill reference was not correct. I could choose another field and it's going to automatically update this. If it was correct, well, I can just put it back like it was before. If I go to the date, of course, Odoo is only going to show me the dates that I have on the invoice. So here, when it comes to, let's say, the general information of the invoice, Odoo is actually going to be trained based on all the users that have used the OCR. When it comes here to the amount, the account, and the tax, here it's more internal to the database, okay? So meaning the first time you're going to get an invoice, Odoo is going to give you a default account, and on that first invoice, you're going to tell him, no, I want this account. Then for the next invoice that you're going to receive, he's going to take this account that you've used on the previous invoice. Same as for the VAT, he's going to try to guess. Here he saw that it was 5%, so he got me 5%, but I could modify it for another type of 5%, and he would take that for the next invoice as well. So before we do the bookkeeping, well, let's go back to actually my documents. And here you can see that also the invoice has been moved from that folder and classified automatically here. On each bill, what you can see is that you have a direct information about what is the invoice connected to these in the accounting. If I click on one, I can actually directly from that invoice access that information. So I can review it in real time. Now let's leave the document application. I'm going to go to my accounting. In the accounting, what I can see is that I have different rectangles here, which are actually my different journals, okay, my accounting journals. So I have my sales, my purchases, the banks, the miscellaneous operation. If I remove here my favorite filter, I'll see that I have more journals as well. And on each of my journals, I can also see that I have some little shortcuts to access what I actually need to do. For my purchases, for example, I can see that I have 4 invoices to validate. So what I can do is actually click here to validate and access directly the draft invoice that I still need to review. If I remove that filter, I will see all the invoices that I have inside my database. So let's start with the first one, the Blink invoice. Here, what I can see is actually Odoo works. I'm not going to tell you how it worked again. I think you know now how it works. But what I can see on my invoice is that I have a fixed asset account because it's related to some computer hardware and software hardware and software computer invoice. So in this case, I just told Odoo, okay, when I'm using this account, I want you to create an asset and depreciate it automatically. So I'm going to confirm that invoice. And what you're going to see is that now I have a new smart button here with my asset. If I go look into it, I can see actually the information from the invoice. I can see how I want it to be depreciated, the account that are going to be used for the depreciation, and as well the journal in which all the entries will be booked. If I go a bit further, I can have here the depreciation board. And in this case, what I can see is that per month, I have my depreciation, I have the total depreciation, and I have the net value. If I go even further, I can go here on that smart button for the posted entries, where you can see actually a lot of entries in draft and a lot of entries that are already posted. If I select the first draft invoice, I can see that actually that entry is configured to be posted automatically on the accounting date of the entry. What does that mean? It means that everything that's in the past has been booked automatically by Odoo, and everything that's in the future is already generated in draft and will be booked automatically at each accounting date of each entry. And you can have a look here at the entry that's going to be booked. So now, if I go to my next invoice, I can get to my crown invoice. Here in this case, the thing that I want to see is that this invoice is actually, if I zoom on it, linked to a specific period. So it covers from December 2025 to December 26. So I would like to be able to spread my expense on all that period. So how can I do that on Odoo? I'm just going to here add the deferred date. And by adding here 01/12/25 and in the next one 01/12/26. By doing so, Odoo is going to generate all the entries linked to that. So if I confirm my invoice, in the deferral entries, I can see for each period the entries that's going to be booked, and same as for the asset, what's in the past has been booked and posted automatically. What's in the future is actually in draft and will be posted automatically at the accounting date of the entry. So the last invoice that I want to see is actually that green bill invoice. On that one, well, nothing to say about it. It's just that in this case, the OCR works perfectly fine. Every time I see an invoice going for green bill going through the OCR, everything has been matched automatically. So what I want to do is automatize this. Okay, I don't even want to have to confirm them manually. I want to ask Odoo to do it for me. So I can confirm that one. Go check on my vendor. Here I can find the information, general information about my vendor, the country, the TR number, any additional information that I would need. And I have here the accounting tab. In the accounting tab, I can see that I have multiple informations, the account that's going to be used if I have a customer invoice from that contact or a supplier invoice from that contact. But what's interesting here is actually the auto post bill. In this case, I can select and ask Odoo to always post the invoice when it goes through the OCR. And that will work exactly the same for the e-invoicing. Now, I would like to review a bit what I've done. Okay, I would like to review the accounting that I've done in the past month and years. How can I do so? You can see that here we have different menus, and either a review menu where you can see all the depreciation schedule, the unrealized currency, the deferred, but as well the journal audit. So let's take a look at that journal audit and see what it is. Actually, the journal audit is a view on all the journals that have been used during the selected period. And by clicking on it, you can actually see all the accounts that have been used in that journal. And by looking at it, what you can see is that I have here a capital gain account, which is not really normal for my client. So let's see what's behind this. I can just click on it and actually have the view on all my entries. So I can click on each line, have the view on the invoice as well to make sure like, okay, what is it linked to? In this case, I can see that it's success pack. I can see here in the label that it's as well success pack. So indeed, the account is not correct. So how to modify it easily? Well, in this case, instead of going back on each separate invoice, reset it to draft, change the account and post it back, what I'm going to actually do is just select all the lines, select my account and change it to the new account that I want. Odoo is asking me if I want to update all the 15 lines. In my case, I do. So I'm just going to click on update. And now you can see that all the accounts have been easily changed. Of course, all those changes are tracked in Odoo. Where can you find that? If I go back to one of the invoice and I go down, I can find here the chatter. The chatter is really a key functionality in Odoo. It's kind of an audit trail where you will be able to see all the communication that happened on an accounting entry, but also all the modification. Who has done the modification and when it was done. So you can easily track those in Odoo. If I go back to my journal audit and now I have a look at my purchases, well, here I can see all the account as well. And you can see that at the bottom of each journal, I have a summary about the taxes that have been used. So in this case, I can see the taxes. I see that I have one for the reverse charge. I would like to see if it was correct for me to use that VAT. Well, I can simply click on audit and actually check the invoice that's behind that that booking, that VAT. If I zoom on a bit, I can see that indeed it was an invoice from the United States, so it's indeed the reverse charge mechanism that needs to apply. Now that this is done, I would like to actually go further with my VAT return. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and here on my tax return journal, I can just click on that button. And as it's the first time I'm starting to do the VAT return in Odoo, Odoo is just going to ask from when I want to actually do the bookkeeping, the VAT returns. So here I'm just going to do it from Q2 2025. So I'm going to put a date in Q2 2025. My fiscal year ends on the 31st of December. That's correct. And my TRN periodicity is indeed quarterly. If I need, I could select another one, but in this case, it's quarterly. And I can apply. So when I apply this, what can I see? Actually, Odoo generates all the VAT return that I need to do up until now, and as well all the corporate tax return that I need to do up until now. So let's start by doing the VAT return. If I click here, what I can see is that when I try to review my VAT return for Q2, is that Odoo is automatically doing some pre-checks for me. Okay, I can see that I have all the information for my company, so you click on it. Indeed, all the fields are completed, so that's good. I don't have any draft entries left for that period, and all the VAT that I've used match actually the country of the suppliers and customers, so that's good as well. But I can see that I have two lines with an anomaly. Here, the first one is the bank line. I have one bank line that hasn't been reconciled with a proper account. So let's have a look at this. Actually, it's the rent payment. So what I'm going to do is just here, click on set account, look for my account by name or by code, and select my office rent account. So that is done. Let's go back to it. Now you can see that it has automatically been reviewed by Odoo. And for the bill attachment here, you can see that Odoo is telling me that I have two purchase invoices without any attachment to it. In this case, I don't care too much, so I can bypass this and review it myself. When everything is reviewed, you can actually see that you can validate the VAT return. But before that, let's jump actually into the VAT return to see if everything is fine. Here, I can see the VAT return and I can see all the amounts that have been automatically added by the use of my VAT code when I was doing the bookkeeping. If I want to review what's behind this amount, I can just click on it, for example, and easily see all the invoices or all the entries with the supporting documents to check if everything is fine. In my case, everything is fine, so I'm just gonna here validate my VAT return. When I do that validation, what's happening behind the scene is that Odoo is actually going to generate a closing entry. I can review that entry here and see that actually Odoo set to 0 all the amounts that were booked on the different VAT codes. He's taking my last balance from the last quarter, summarizing all of that and calculating my new amount payable or receivable. And you can see that in this case, the administration needs to owe me some money. So if I go back here, now everything is fine. You can see also that it has been reviewed. You can see the new balance. And the last thing is you can follow up on the submitting and the payment of that VAT return. So let's say that I haven't submitted my VAT return yet, and let's go back to the tax return. As I haven't submitted my VAT return yet, you can see that it's still appearing here, showing me that I still have a step to do and to follow up on, so that I make sure I don't forget to submit my VAT return, okay? So actually, now that it's been submitted, let's just submit that one. And now you can see that everything has been fulfilled. I don't need to pay anything as it's the administration that owes me money, so Odoo is going to complete that automatically. And now it just disappears from the list so that I'm not bothered by old tasks that I have already taken care of. Let's go to the second one for the Q3. Here, same thing. What I can see is that I have a bank line that I need to allocate, still linked to the rent payment. So let's just set the account, rent, office rent. Okay, go back, bill attachment, still not a problem for me, review it automatically. And here I can see as well that I have three draft entries. So let's just click on it to see what it's about. I have my 3 lines here, and if I have a deeper look at it, I can see that actually those are customer invoices. All of them. And it just reminds me that I've reviewed them automatically. I have reviewed them already. So I would like to confirm those. Without having to confirming them one by one, I could just select all the lines and here on my action button, confirm all the entries. So now go back to my tax return, validate, do the steps as we've seen, and then the submission when I've actually submitted my VAT return. Now that this is done, let's take a look actually at our bank. You can see that I still need to reconcile 5 bank lines, so I can just click on it and I can actually see my lines with the dates, with the amounts, and start to do the bookkeeping. So let's start with this one. Actually, I can see that it's a payment from a customer, and I know that this customer is DP World. So I'm just going to set the partner, look for DP World. Selected, you can see that I have 21 open invoices on that customer. I can click on it, and what you can see is that Odoo has automatically fetched all the invoices linked to that payment. How did he do that? Basically, based on the label. With the AI, he just checked the label and he found all the payment reference, and therefore linked all the invoices linked to that payment. If I go to the next one, here you can see that I already have my supplier in this case, but he hasn't found the invoice. So I can see that it's a payment for the invoice of October, and he's showing me all the open items I have for that supplier. So I can just click on reconcile. When I arrive here, I can actually see, okay, that I have 4 invoices confirmed, and I already have a draft invoice here as well for October, which is the invoice I'm looking for. Which is interesting now because Odoo is allowing you to actually reconcile with draft invoice. So if you're working with your client could actually follow up on what has been paid while waiting for you to actually review and confirm the invoice, which could be really convenient at some point. So I just selected the line, now it's reconciled. Last thing is here, the tax invoice from DHL. So I could just set the partner DHL and wait for the invoice, wait to receive the invoice. So just set it as a payable here. Okay. Now you can see that I still have rent payments to reconcile. And now instead of having to select the account, Odoo is actually suggesting me the office rent account. Why is that? It's just because the AI created a new rule for me so that I don't have to do that work anymore. So what I could do is just click on that button to actually reconcile on the Office Rent account, or I could go have a look at the rule that has been created by Odoo to see how it's going, how it's running, and see if I can automatize that even a bit more. So I'm just going to click on the three dots here, Manage Models. Here I can see two models, but the model hasn't been created by Odoo. If I remove that by me, has been created by Odoo. And here I find my rule. So I can see that it's actually an Office Rent. Okay, it has been named by the name of the account that I've used. And I can see when that rule is going to apply. So it's going to apply on my bank journal bank. If I have multiple banks here, I could add multiple banks as well. And here it's going to apply on any amount that's lower or equal to 0. And when the label contains the word rent payment. And you can see that actually it's going to allocate 100% of the balance to this account. But for the moment, that rule is manual. So what I would like to do is actually automate that rule. So I could just click here on automate. And if I actually go back to my bank matching, I can see that I have no bank lines unmatched for the moment because Odoo has automatically reconciled this with the rule. So I don't even have to do it, and you could automatize the reconciliation of your bank line with those rules. Now, if I go back to the dashboard and to the next step, let's maybe take a look at the reports that we have. If I go in the reporting section here, you can see that I have, for example, a cash flow where I could see actually my cash flow and the movement that I have. But not only, what I can see as well is the profit and loss and any other reports. So here, what's interesting is that I remember that my client is actually using a budget, and I would like to compare the numbers that I have to the budget that the client sent me. What I'm going to do is just actually add that budget here. So therefore, I can actually see how I've been performing compared to the budget received by the client. You can see that here for the hotels, I was a bit above what has been planned, so I might tell my client to maybe rent some cheaper hotels if he wants to comply with his budget. But not only that, the good part about that budget is that, for example, if I want to view one of the specific quarter, the budget is going to automatically adapt to have that the numbers only for that quarter. So I can actually have a perfect view about what I have expected depending on my high and low seasons, for example. Now that we have seen this, you can see that we have other different reports. And what I'm going to show you is actually here that you can create your own report for your clients in the invoice analysis section. In the invoice analysis section, which is just an example, I can see here I have a graph with my sales through the months. But what I want to see is actually an overview. I want to see how much I've sold per partner per quarter. So let's go to that pivot table view. You can see here that I have a table, but it's not what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to unbuild the table and rebuild it with the information that I want to see. Here I want to see my clients. You can see that it's automatically filtered here by the clients. And I want to have a view by quarter. So now I can exactly see what were my sales during the quarters and maybe make some plan based on that. But the interesting thing about that is that I can also insert it in what we called a spreadsheet here. A spreadsheet is kind of an Excel file, but it's way better than that because it's actually integrated with your accounting, with your bookkeeping. What does that mean? It means that any new entry that you book will actually appear on that report. But that's not the only thing. Here it works exactly like in Excel. So you could actually add a budget. You could add a variance. Here you could put numbers. Okay. You could just try this. And here you can as well add formulas. So let's say equal this minus this. So you can find pretty much all the Excel formulas here in this dashboard. But as I was saying, this is directly connected to the accounting. So let's just save this invoice and this and save it to my other application, the dashboard application. So file, add to dashboard, and here I'm going to add it to my section finance and create. So for example, here you can see that I have the numbers, and for Q4 2025, I don't have anything for Emirates. So let's create a customer invoice for Emirates in Q4 2025. I'm going to go here, invoice, new invoice, and actually here select Emirates. It's going to be 12/12/25, for example. Add a line. In my case, I'm selling some products, so I don't want to just add a label. I want to actually be able to select the products that I'm selling. Okay. Now I can select the product that I'm going to sell to that client, add the quantity. We're going to make it big so it's easy to find the numbers. When you're going to have a look at the spreadsheet, I can confirm it. And here I can go back to my dashboard where I can see the dashboard application. If I click on it, I can find some default dashboard that are existing in Odoo default reports, and also my invoice analysis here. So if I click on it, you can see that indeed the number has been updated here for Emirates for Q4 2025. But even more than that, you could share that with your client. You could click it here on share and send him the link so that he can have access to it if he doesn't have access to the database. And on top of that, you can actually review this. So I could, let's say I want to know what's behind that number. I can just click on it, and Odoo is actually going to show me all the invoices that are included in this dashboard. Okay. So now the last thing that we're going to see is actually the corporate tax return. You can see that here we have the corporate tax return, but I wanted you to know that we can also manage here the disallowed expenses. How can you do that in Odoo? Well, easy. I could go to my chart of account here, select one of my expenses revenue, let's say leave tickets. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to add a fiscal category to it. 1,000. I can create whatever I want. Create and edit. Okay, the code is going to be this, and it's going to be here. Leave ticket. Save. So now what I'm going to do is actually go inside it. Not go inside it, sorry. Access the fiscal rate that appeared here and say, okay, in this case, as starting from 01/01/2025, I can only deduct maybe 50% of it. Okay. So I save it. Now, if I make an entry on that account, vendor, new, let's say whatever, vendor, 12/12/25 as well. Add here, we're going to do a small price. We're going to select the account on which we made the configuration, a price of, for example, 1 million. And tickets. So now that I've done that, I can confirm. And if I have a look at my corporate tax return here, I will be able to see actually for the year, of course, 2025. Oops. That, oh, did I bring it? Chart of account. Leave ticket, fiscal rate, it's from Jan, 50%. Okay. Tax, leave ticket, and default tax. And if I'm creating the, reviewing, sorry, this invoice, I should have it here. I don't know, it's because my accounting date, need to reset it. Okay, 5%. So that's good. And this actually should appear in the VAT return and the corporate tax return automatically for the year 2025 here. So I'll make this small modification for why it's not appearing a bit later. So in this case, it's done for the presentation. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump to our demo. So for the demo, what we can see is that here we are focused on the onboarding at Odoo. What does that mean? It means actually that we organize some session here at our office to actually train the accounting firms. So in this case, last year we have trained more than 3,000 accountants. This year we are at more than 7,000 accountants trained over the year 2026 because we're organizing more and more classes around the globe to actually help our accountants to participate in our training so they can discover. It's a 2-day training. You can join in and subscribe online. You can register online so that actually you can access that training, come to our office, and ask your question to some people that know your language and that can actually help you with your problems. It's also about discovering how you can manage Odoo during those 2 days. So it will give you a huge base on how to start with Odoo accounting. If some of you are an accounting firm, what you can do as well is go on our website for the Odoo accounting firms and register your company. By being published on that website, it will allow you to actually have more visibility with our clients and also to access your clients' databases as free users, as long as they are on SaaS, which is really useful. If your client is already using Odoo and he is in the paid version of Odoo, actually you will be able to access the database of your client without having to pay, without the client having to pay any subscription. Okay. What else will you get if you are registered on that platform? Well, you will receive a monthly newsletter with like the upcoming events, some small tips as well. You have a dedicated support for accountants managed by our team, and as I told you, free access for the accountants to your clients' databases. What about the cost? Everything that I showed you, except for the OCR, is actually here, was in the one app free model. What does that mean? It means that actually you can create as many databases with as many users as you want to manage the accounting of your client without to pay any subscription. You can see that usually classic customers will be in the standard or custom version, having to pay these prices per user and per month. But for you, as you only download the accounting to have what I've shown you today, you won't have to pay any subscription fees. So this will lead us to the Q&A session. Leave you ask your question in the pad if you have, and we're going to start. We'll see each other in a few minutes. So, welcome back. I see that we, for the moment, only have one question. So, feel free to ask your question if you have any question for Shamim, for ClearTax on how it's going to work, if you want some more details. And if you have any question regarding Odoo, feel free to ask those questions as well. Regarding the question that we got on the OCR of bills, is it limited or unlimited? So basically how it works is that you need to buy credits in the database. When you create a new database from scratch, Odoo is actually offering you 200 credits. So you can basically do the OCR on 200 different documents, okay? So it's going to be 1 credit per document. It's not 1 credit per pages. So for example, if you have a purchase of 5 pages, it's only going to be 1 credit. You can actually find this here in the, let me show you. In the accounting, you can actually here go there, configuration, and in the settings, if you type digitization, you can here access your services and go to manage services and buy. So from here, from that view, you will actually be able to buy some new credits. And here you can see the actual prices that it's going to be for your credits. So you can buy packs of 100,000, 10,000, 100,000. And basically the cost is going to reduce based on the cost per credit is going to reduce based on how many you buy. And of course, the idea is that you can buy many credits and then use them in all the databases that you have, so you don't have to buy them separately in each one of the databases, okay? We're going to wait a bit to see if we have more questions. So I think we're good for the questions. Last word. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure also to meet you, Shamim, and to discover a bit more about ClearTax. So thank you guys for joining us, and see you in the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.